I am of the pure mind of God. I am the resurrection and the life in my body, my finances, my relationships, and my world. I qualify everything in my world with perfection. I am perfection. I am this perfect day, and the life that lives in me is the light that cannot fail. I accept only God's perfection, His good, in my outer circumstances. I know in my heart that God is all in all. I am absolutely not concerned about what happens, because I know wonderful things are happening now.
Hey guys, it's Matthew David. So I'm out today on another beautiful walk, and it's hot. You can see I've been sweating. I'm gonna do about a 10-mile walk today. Don't worry, I won't keep you guys with me the whole time. And I still haven't got my microphone yet, so you notice I got this little bobby pin here. I had to rig my setup together. That's okay. It still works. So I just have some revelation that I want to share, and kind of like Neil Donald Walsh, he did his conversations with God. Well, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do conversations with God, and I'm going to just let it flow. So I'll show you what's going on around here. This is the place to be. We're in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and it's gorgeous here. Notice the lack of masks. People are great. This is the reality that I live in. Okay? This is the reality that I choose. I choose to be in one where people are free, because freedom is inherent within spirit. So, what we're going to talk about is the difference between wisdom and knowledge. So wisdom is when you look within, and knowledge is what comes to you from without. So we want to look within ourselves to draw out wisdom. That's what conversations with God was all about. That's what Neil Donald Walsh did. That's what I do when I write my books or when I come up with my talks. All I'm looking to do is to turn within to the presence of God. And you see that right there is the commandment. That is the commandment that was given. Okay, first commandment. You see what the illusion is that you're supposed to worship a God and then you look outside of yourself. That's what they teach you in religion. It's a sleight of hand trick, the trick of the devil, as you would say. But the real reality is, put no other gods before me. Well, who's me? That's right. Turn within. That is the point. See, you are simultaneously every character, and you are the Christ, all at the same time, and the deity is within you. So God is within you. This is extraordinary information. So when you look out there at a problem, and some people may be looking at problems all day, every day on YouTube, because they see a lot of looting, they see a lot of, discord. None of that is real. Not a single bit of it. And it also breaks the second commandment. It's a nice place. People are eating around here. So the second commandment is no graven images. Okay? Now you really only have to focus on three things to get this straight. So first step is out there doesn't matter. That's not where the power is. And the other flip side of the coin is true too, that out there is not your provision. So once you start demonstrating power, the other trick is to give you all sorts of stuff out there to keep you busy. For example, let's say you're like I am, you're interested in, cryptocurrencies and things of that nature. Well, I don't sit and watch it all day, every day. It does not become an idol to me. It will never be my source. Money, gold, silver, crypto will never be my source of prosperity, and I will never put my faith in it, ever. I've made that mistake before, and I've watched how money has wings and it will fly away. Because anything that becomes a false idol is going to be dealt with. Now, this is the secret. Everything outside wants you to chase after it or to fear it because it wants you to be in submission to it. And this is the mirror, inverted reality. Like Justin Timberlake's song, I think it was him. He's like, it's like I look in the mirror, staring back at me. That's fiction. That's fiction. So we take all of our discordant thought impressions from out there. Okay, they show up as reports from our 5 physical senses. And these 5 senses, they tell us what we're supposed to hold as true. So we take these impressions, and the minute we put them before our imagination, that's the living Christ, that's the Holy Spirit, wholeness of spirit. Spirit is all in all, so there's the wholeness of it, because everyone who is of God has imagination. Every living thing under the sun belongs to that power, because that is the only power. So what I'm saying to you is all power is within you. All of it. Your circumstances may look dire, or they may look tremendously amazing. But either way, those are both traps. One of them is fear, and the other one is coveting.
Hello, I'm Shen with Allow Ministries. If you are new or just getting warmed up to this material, here's a great place to begin. Use the groundbreaking tools ABC Break Process, Safe Touch, and Self-entrainment technique. These are the original spiritual millionaire workshop trainings. Matthew David discovered these techniques being bedridden and bankrupt. To develop a 7-figure business and today train like a pro athlete. Within a few minutes, you'll receive the first technique, ABC Break Free, followed by the next one, Safe Touch, 5 days later. Lastly, you'll be invited to learn Matthew's most powerful skill set to shift the vibration. What he believes to be true is you can occupy parallel universes now. This technique is called self-entrainment. You'll be invited to be personally mentored by Matthew David to master this once-in-a-lifetime skill set. Look for that text to arrive in 10 days. Matthew David has streamlined the learning curve to offer you his best material for rapid life transformation at the pace that works. It's a 30-day investment in yourself to achieve the inner game of permanent abundance and vitality structured as daily techniques to build your life strategically on a solid foundation that prospers you for all your days. It's a legacy to learn, profit from, and even teach to your loved ones. To navigate an ever-changing world with timeless and changeless wisdom. Now, it's your turn to rise above your circumstances and prove that all power is within you. Now to the number below and begin your fast track journey to your best life ever. No matter what the outer circumstances seem to be, you can master your world. Starting now.
So, if you have an immense need that you can't meet, you have fear. And if you have a lot of fortune, you're coveting the wealth of this world if you believe it has anything to do with providing for you. So the narrow gate, we want to walk the narrow gate. And the narrow gate is where we are moment by moment. Get this, because this is the purpose of the whole ascension process. So I firmly believe in my heart of hearts that the purpose for you to be here is to experience joy, the joy of the Father, and to reflect the qualities of the Father and be the image and likeness. Okay? Those are the fruits of the Spirit. Kindness, gentleness, love, peace. These things are virtuous. Now I also believe that all of the disqualifying, discordant thought impressions that the world system puts before you is something you are here to qualify and to set free. Got to pass a couple people here. Yeah. Hey, it makes it a lot easier. Right? I know. So you want to qualify everything that is disharmony with the harmony within yourself. And this brings us to Exodus 14:14. If I hold my peace, God will fight my battles. Think about this. Do you want to fight your battles, or would you prefer if God fights your battles? I know if you ask me, whoops, sorry about that. I would much rather prefer God to fight my battles for me. It seems more realistic. Now, what's the quality? Peace. So when you're tempted, you're challenged, you get a threat from out there. It always tries to get you to submit to it through fear, because fear is the first step to sin. The steps to sin are: step number 1, fear. Step number 2 is confusion. We become confused. Step number 3, lack of trust. This is when it really gets dicey, when you break your trust. Now, if you know contract law, a trust, if you break it, if you break a contract, that means performance has been not adhered to. You have broken the performance of an agreement. And so when you break a performance within an agreement, you no longer have the guaranteed performance from your contract. So God promises to take care of all of your human needs. Now, what we do is we sin, and that breaks the continuity of good, because our hearts become troubled. Out of the heart come the issues of life. Our hearts become troubled. That's how we sin. We fear. Refuse to fear, and you will not fall into sin. See, fear, confusion, lack of trust, then comes double-mindedness, then division. So double-mindedness is the drunken state that virtually everybody walks around in. In the Gnostic teachings, Jesus declared that all of them were drunk in their 5 senses. All of these mortals. See, the first clue that you're drunk is you identify as mortal fiction. what I call mortal fiction. That's a state where you believe you have a physical life, you are separate from all, and what you desire is something you must pursue to attain. It's a less than position. It's not the reflection and image and likeness of any deity whatsoever. And if it were, it certainly wouldn't be one that I'm going to worship. I'm not going to worship a God that has been beaten and defeated by this world. Are you? And if you are made in the image and likeness of that God, then why are you reflecting anything less than that? So that image and likeness we know is spirit. God is a spirit. Spirit is immutable. It's an idea, a construct of ideas that God laid forth when He created all within Himself. And there's not a single mistake in any of God's ideas. So we take that premise and that understanding, and what we do is we now qualify everything that comes into our awareness through those erring human five senses. We qualify it with that knowing. That wisdom qualifies it. I didn't say knowledge, I said wisdom. So we see a problem. Oh, look, I was on Facebook and I see a bunch of things got burnt down. What is my reaction to this? Okay, is it a re-act? Am I going to play out the same pattern that put me into the original stupor of drunkenness? Am I going to play that pattern out? Am I going to demonstrate the reflection of fear? You see, this is the inverted reality. This is the song, Mirrors. It's like I'm looking in the mirror staring back at me. No, actually, if it's not qualified by harmonious perfection, then it is not the mirror staring back at me. It's ignorance masquerading as truth. See, the great con is this. Everything outside of you is material fashion form. It is ignorance masquerading as truth. It is incompleteness. And so think of the story when Christ came to the world. He was the completeness of the Father. And He didn't come to save the world, He came to destroy it. He came to destroy the error within it. And because of the resurrection, okay, now this is done within yourself. This story plays out in you. So because of the resurrection, God's works were completed by Christ. This idea of completion. And so the resurrected Christ, to make a long story short, is your human imagination. Isn't that something? Isn't that amazing? That it's that simple. But here's the key, is that these images from outside of you, you can't take these and identify with them. Hold on. Because if you identify with these images, then what you are implying is that you are the reflection of this world. And this world is not complete. Now you're saying, well, this is great. Great theology. What do I do with it? I'm telling you exactly what to do with it. Because what you contemplate, you become. Don't be foolish and believe that you can look at evil and not manifest it within your heart. And out of the heart come the issues of life, and you will become troubled in your spirit, and then you will fall under the reins of tyranny from the rulers out there. What I'm telling you is that the reins of tyranny from the rulers out there, you have to accept it first. If you deny it, remember, get thee behind me, Satan. Jesus did not accept it. He was not tempted by the world out there. Remember, he was offered all of it. But we know that the world out there is an empty, dead carcass. It's funny because I can just hear some people saying, you know, you say this over and over and over and over again. And the reason why I'm saying it over and over and over again is because you haven't heard it yet. You haven't heard it yet. If you have heard it yet, well, then you're smiling and laughing with me because your world is becoming the reflection of God's harmony. And every crack and crevice begins to look that way. Have you seen any masks on my walk today? I'm qualifying my world with harmony and perfection. I am in this perfect day that God has created. This is the perfect day that God has created. And I am this perfect day. Now that's extraordinary. And some of the ego minds will say, well, it's not that simple. But yes, here's the deal, is that it is that simple of turning within and turning away from the world, because all power is within, and turning it over to the all power within, to the I am presence. Okay, following the fastest path to your joy, sowing honor seeds, tithing 3, 2, 1, all the things I talk about, it is that simple. But you see, here's the deal, is the repetition of doing this, repetitioning the mind, that's the renewing of the mind, repetitioning it is what brings about the transformation. For example, I'm going to walk like 10 miles today. I quit doing my runs for a while because quite realistically, I just don't care anymore to work that hard. It was so hard. Man, I was working out like 4 times the amount that any person needs to, and I'm like, forget that. Nobody cares, and I'm getting kind of to the point where I want to recover for a good couple months. So I'm going to do a couple months of good recovery. But today, 10 miles, right? If I did one 10-mile walk today and I stopped doing it for 6 months, it is of no use. It doesn't matter. Because it's not what you do once, this great, miraculous one-time shot where one day you decide, I'm going to turn it all over to I am, and I'm going to walk in spirit and walk in victory, and you go out and you get a good one in, you get a good 10-hour I am the presence day in. But then, along comes a little interruption, a little disruption in your harmony, and you go right back to what you were doing before. Well, you're going to get nowhere, because your daily habits determine your destiny. And what happens is, if you just keep qualifying and keep perfecting the energy that comes to you, the impressions that come through the 5 senses, you keep qualifying them. How? Well, it's simple. Let's say I see somebody that's over there that's, on the ground lying injured or something. I say, I am the perfecting presence of human life in this material body now. And I hold my peace within, and I go over and I treat the condition of thought, not the material form. And what that does is everything. Okay? Now the opposite of that is to get fearful and frantic and run over there and scream and yell and say, oh my God, you're gonna die. Ah. Well, that'd be a good day. I mean, for crying out loud, if you get to leave this place and you get to be in heaven with your Father, by the way, you already are, but according to your earthly knowledge, that one day you get to die and go to heaven, well, then that'd be a good day, right? Well, do it now then. Do it now. What I'm telling you is die to the world every day. Die to the world every day. You want mastery? Let me tell you, die to the world every day. You know what's really liberating? Is to realize when you can't be bought. The world couldn't afford you. The world isn't worthy of you. That's a true statement. But you have to realize it within your heart. And what I say is you got to do these daily habits of practicing the walk. And what happens is, you begin tithing, you begin trusting God, you begin non-judgment, as in, hey, I'm going to qualify everything. See, your judgments are when you look at something that's discordant and you take it before the Holy Ghost in blasphemy. That's a judgment. Example is you're watching the Facebook and you see some crazy crap going on and you don't agree with a certain group of people or whatever, and you say, hey, this is these are bad people. Now you have just sinned. You didn't qualify it, you disqualified yourself from the blessing. See, you're not qualifying it by doing that, you're disqualifying yourself from the blessing. It's coming to you. This is how powerful you are. Now take a break. Close your eyes and breathe, okay? Because when I drop this on you, I don't want you to get too crazy, okay? So, I have a friend, and he is a retired Navy SEAL, and CIA. His name's Michael Jaco. Amazing guy. He's probably the coolest SEAL you'll ever meet. So he did a workshop with me, and we were just over there by the, whatever the place is, the Blue Harbor Resort. Yes, and he commands the weather. Okay, this is why I said to sit down now. Okay, I don't want to blow your mind out. He can command the weather to snow, to rain, etc. So can you. You are experiencing your world pressed out. The whole story is you. It's you and you. You have the power to do these things. But you have to practice the repetition of asserting it so that you can lean on it with complete trust and faith, because that is the re-establishment of the trust that was broken when you took fear and became confused. See? You have to undo these 5 steps. You're in a school. You feared. You became confused. Then you lacked trust in yourself, which is the greatest sin of all. You lacked trust within yourself. Okay, now all sins are forgiven except for blasphemy against the Holy Ghost. So that means you take graven images, you put them in your imagination, well then they have to come out because you put them there. That's why you're not forgiven. That's why it's not set free, because you didn't set it free. You consumed it and you put it there. So when you lose trust in yourself, you're in a very, very bad place, because put no other gods before me. When you lose trust in yourself, I'm going to tell you what you do. You stop looking to the God or the good within you, and you start looking to the bad, the misqualified that you have let in you. And you make that your God. So you are worshiping all sorts of graven images and blaspheming against the Holy Ghost. That's what happens when you lose trust in yourself. And so what we're doing here is we're building a daily routine, a daily ritual, and a daily series of habits. Your habits have to be qualified so that they bring you to the destiny that you were designed to live from. So do these habits serve you? Well, do they bring love, peace, joy, and the fruits of the Spirit to every circumstance in your life? Well, if not, then you need to choose a better habit. And that's simple. Remember, you qualify it. For instance, let's say you eat too much junk food. Qualify it. See, I qualified it recently and I cleaned it up. So I said this: I am the perfect, harmonious presence in all of my desire to eat. That's it. It's that simple. I am the perfect, harmonious presence in all of my desire to eat and consume the things of this world. And I just keep qualifying it every time a misqualified thought comes, as in, oh, I feel guilty, I ate something I shouldn't have, I should have had less peanut butter. Then what I say is, you see, that temptation, what does that want to do? It wants me to break trust with myself. You get that? And so that is the purpose of guilt. Guilt is a call for punishment. It is a call for you to break your trust with the power within you. And then, well, guess what happens then? Not much of any good, because you're withholding it from yourself. Guilt is withholding good from yourself. So, what I would recommend is to try a different approach, like I have just given you. So you say, okay, let's say you look at your financial statement or your bank balance or whatever, and you say, man, this really isn't getting me anywhere. Okay, quit doing that. What you're doing is you're assuming a position of being less than, as if there's something you could add or take away from God. That's ignorance. You can't add anything to God. You can't take anything away from God. So to believe that you are somehow in a realm of a mistake that happened is to say God makes a mistake. And that's foolishness. God made no mistake. You are complete. So bring your completeness to that discordant thought. Money flows freely and easily to me now. I am receiving windfalls of money from expected and unexpected places. I am easily, effortlessly, and automatically making the right decisions in every one of my financial transactions now. And you see, I don't need to use any willpower. See, the only willpower I have to use, get this, unless it is tempered with wisdom, willpower is an animal propensity. So to go out into the world and to try to manipulate the realm of effects to get yours is nonsense. That's what animals do. You're the reflection of a deity. And so as the reflection, you're the part in the mirror that is being moved by the real power. And so the real power is the I am declaration, the command that you make, and then you get the heck out of the way through non-judgment, through following the fastest path to your joy, and through putting up honor, seeds, faith, tithe, all these things. Honor the Creator. Live for the Creator. Live for God in every moment. I told you the story several videos ago about Sam Easy Money, the dog that I just used the process of transference. So I picked my dog, and her name was Sammy. I didn't even know I was doing this at the time, but I was like, every time I'd see her, I'd be like, Sam Easy Money, Sam Easy Money. Well, I started to live in a world where it was so easy. It was just pouring in from everywhere, and I wasn't even working at the time. I was looking at, I had the highest bank balance I ever had in my life. What was I doing? I was declaring it with my mouth. Every word that God spoke never came back void, and all God did was speak. So where do you think your power is? It's in what you speak in your head and also out loud. So your willpower is used to cash the checks that your mouth is writing. That's it. The rest of it is following your bliss, following your excitement. Remember, your linear mind will say, well, I don't know how that's ever going to get me anywhere because my bliss and my excitement is to go play guitar and I need to make money now or I'm going to lose my store, right? That's what my mind said when I had the nutrition store. My mind said this thing like that. Everybody told me I was going to fail. There's no way. I couldn't see any human way to do it. But I was doing what I teach as the ABC break process. The links below if you want to learn it. Links to everything are below if you want to learn all this stuff. I've just broke it down for you, okay? And then I would do the one thing. The only influence you have over your future is your seed. And since your seed that you plant is the seed you harvest, then if I need love, I plant love. If I need money, I plant money, right? Simple. So what I did is I took the bitter fruit that was in my hand. I had about 15 a day that was coming in profit that I could take from that store. And you see, 15 a day in profit wasn't even enough to pay the rent, okay? And I mean, the store had $7,500 a month to come up with just to keep the place going. So how am I going to pay for gas? How am I going to pay for food? Right? See, the human mind always wants to say who, what, where, when, why, how, over and over and over, disqualifying itself from being in the covenant with the Father, saying I'm less than, I need to figure it out with my human mind, I need to reason myself into a solution and start from a problem. This is all ridiculous. It's all useless, and it creates resistance and unconsciousness. And the more you do it, the more flow you lose, which means you become more unconscious. You become more enslaved to this world because you're giving your power away to it. So what I did, remember, in the store, was it was very simple. I went in the back room and played my guitar. And then when fear would come to me, I would qualify it with the ABC break process. I'd have to do it maybe 5-6 times a day. And what I would do is then that shifted me from submitting myself to the realm of effects out there, believing that they have any power whatsoever. And I turned within to the Master, to the Christ, to the imagination. See, I turned to the Master. And then what I did was I signed it with my mouth by saying money flows freely and easily to me now. That's the only thing I kept saying over and over. And so all of the outer began to lose its grip because I was no longer in fear. I was now moving into faith. And you see, faith is where all miracles are performed. Through faith, not logic. So I would take that seed every day, $15, whatever. I would plant it to the ministry supporting me, to the minister that was supporting me every day, because I thought, you know what? I'm going to use my faith to do what my logic can't. And it wasn't long. And then following the fastest path to my joy through non-judgment, right? You see how this works? I wasn't letting outer circumstances disqualify me from the blessing. That's what I mean by non-judgment. I know that the good is true always, and the continuity of good never ceases, ever. I know the wisdom. So then what am I to do? Well, express the qualities of God. Always follow the fastest path to your joy in this moment. So my joy at the time was to go play the guitar in the back room. So I'm back there jamming and jamming, and just like it's happened about a dozen times or more so far. When I've needed these miracles, I just do this over and over, and I saw the vision. See, the Holy Spirit knows all, and it knows where the treasure is. You see, I talk about this again and again. This is the miracle Jesus has done, pulling the coin from the fish's mouth. The idea came to me, and I took the idea, that's opening the mouth and taking the first one that comes up, open the mouth, and there it contained all I needed, right? So I executed on that idea immediately. Why? Because it brought excitement to me. It was something that I knew that I could do. I knew I could do it. And it was downstream of all things. It's going to be downstream. Like Abraham Hicks says, nothing you want is upstream. So this was downstream. So I was able to flow with it, and within 7 minutes, and I believe 34 seconds, or whatever that video was, it was like 7.5 minutes, I had launched it on YouTube, and it was an immediate 6-figure business from that point forward. Immediate, overnight success, literal overnight. I'm talking about within one 7-minute video solved every freaking problem in that whole story. You see, to human opinion, I had a myriad of problems. And this is how powerful God is when you turn to God within and turn away from this world. I had a myriad of problems. I had problems with inventory shortages. I had problems with staffing. A, couldn't afford them. B, can't find ones that are good enough to actually put 100 in every day for paying them $8 an hour. Are you kidding me? They're not going to do anything. They're going to sit on their device all day. C, I had a problem of traffic because the foot traffic was destroyed by all of the construction. And on and on. I had more and more problems than my human mind could comprehend. Now, you may be in this situation now with your life, but I want to tell you this. To God, you don't have a problem other than where you're looking.
Hello, I'm Julie with Allow Ministries on behalf of Matthew David Hurtado. Are you ready to end self-sabotage, procrastination, and distraction? Clarity, certainty, and a proven plan of action is what it takes to get anything you want in life. Training is the answer. Matthew David Hurtado's Spiritual Millionaire Workshop is the one-step solution that finally puts you in control of your destiny. What Matthew discovered about building a 7-figure business and perfect well-being when he was bedridden and bankrupt with Lyme disease is that mentorship is success without the wait. It works. At allowuniversity.com, you'll discover how to walk in victory. Learn how to prosper in every area with unstoppable daily habits and a step-by-step training to build your dream business immediately following the event, a success training for a lifetime of achievement. Walk in financial increase, living a life you love. Go to allowuniversity.com and say yes to your destiny.
So, what I was saying is, if you follow the fastest path to your joy, path of least resistance, fastest path to your joy, etc., what happens is the wisdom becomes available to you and through you. So one thing I'm going to talk about next week is, good morning, this right here, and I'm going to talk about how to use a daily action planner, because it's so critical, because we're so distracted. We are so inundated, and that's one of the things I talked about in my previous video, and hopefully that wasn't too offensive, but I said, people want to rush off and watch stupid crap on the internet. I'm talking about everything that is not good. So when we sit on our Facebook and we watch videos that disrupt our peace willingly, when you willingly put your attention on that stuff, that's what I mean. When you willingly put your attention on things that are not of God, of good, then what you're doing is you're creating a lot of blockages in your own allowing process, because you're going to put judgments in there. You're going to stand in the way of the good that's happening with some reasoning concern over life, and you shouldn't concern over your life. Remember, take no thought for your life, because it's not yours, it's God's. So what I do is I just say God is all every time I see that stuff, and I just keep saying it until my consciousness rises up out of the troubled scenario. And from time to time I'll slip and I'll go through my human carnal instinct, and I'll get mad and I'll have to vent that out. And it's actually better to vent to get the energy out of you than it is to hold it within yourself and be sick if you're going to create such an uprising energy. So for me, that looks like going for a long walk or a workout or something, and I do that. And music is one of the best ways. I used to do music, should do more of that. But that's what I'd recommend for turning this into a blessing, because it is a blessing. Everything is blessing you, because you live within the mind of God as His perfect idea, His perfect reflection of Himself. And so these blessings will pour in your life. So again, next week I'm going to talk about the playbook. I'm going to show you how to create daily habits and rituals that will keep your consciousness tuned in. And for those of you listening to the audio, the I am a billionaire spiritual master. That's what it's called. If you're listening to that, here's what's going to happen if you're consistent, is you're going to go through the ego resistance phase where your life's going to look like it's getting worse. And then that's the point when everybody's going to cop out. They're all going to cop out at that point, because that's the point of transformation, where the ego comes in very cunningly and steals from you that which you are engendering. Happens all day, every day. Bob Proctor called it the terror barrier, and I just call it ego resistance, because that's what it is. Your ego is setting the parameters of what is and is not allowed in your reality. So the good part about the ego is it can keep you out of the gutter. It can keep you at a standard that you enjoy and appreciate. And the other good point, which we would call the not so good point, is the limitation that it proposes on your income, your relationships, your health, all these things. It puts a regulator on it. So if you're going to go from, let's say, 6 figures to 7 figures, or whatever you're at, maybe you start a new business and you want to make 10 grand a month and you're making 5. Well, the thing is if you listen to an audio like this and you start to proceed in this direction, the first couple days is a euphoric thing, because the anticipation creates a dopamine release euphoria. Most people get involved in programs or transformation just for the anticipation, and that's why most programs don't really offer any value, because they don't have to. Because the anticipation is the dopamine fix that causes people to separate their money from their pocketbook, because they're paying for a better feeling place right now. And that's what I talked about with these false start ghettos. And that's in my Luxor transformation program. You can take that online if you want, free, at MatthewDavidHurtado.com. But these instant gratification things, they're booby traps. And here's why. Listen, have you ever stuck to something every day for 30 days regardless of what you feel? Regardless. For instance, if you want to lose weight, do you only do it when it's convenient and, cease from junk food and being lazy only on the days when it feels good? Or do you stick to your plan and you push through, knowing that the pushing through process is the part where the real magic happens. You're pushing through your ego barrier. So oftentimes you're going to come to a place where you're just at the cornerstone of a new reality is going to set in. You're coming right into it. And you know what's going to happen? All hell's going to break loose in your world. And what happens is when all hell breaks loose, you're going to stop doing the thing that's helping you get to the next level. So the reason why you're stopping to do that is because your ego is coming to steal and rob and kill. So what do we know about who comes to rob, steal, and kill? Satan. And so we know Satan is this personification of material form identifying itself in a mortal life. That's what it really is. And then it operates through the 666, the who, what, when, where, why, and how. Okay, through the three kingdoms, inner, middle, and outer. And so we have to defeat that by putting it underneath our feet. And we have to push through. So if you're following the strategies, I'll give you an example just real quick. So as you may or may not know, Sabrina and I are working on creating a wonderful marriage, you know, revisiting all the vows we made and living it through the harmonious idea that God had in mind, not through our egos that created all sorts of resistance for years. And so working with these ideas, working with it, that's what I'm using the audio for, because if you've noticed, I put in there stuff for health, I put in there stuff for relationships, etc. So the thing I'm working with it for is getting these relationships right. So I'll be candid with you. You know, most of my adult life, I didn't like to be around people at all. I like to be secluded. I like to be isolated. And I would always be pretty uncomfortable if you put me in a scenario with a lot of people, which is probably why I unconsciously keep my workshops really small. And I don't usually bring in large crowds at any juncture, because part of me feels better keeping it that way. And I always have. I'm the kind of person that would feel comfortable sitting in a room by myself for days on end, more comfortable than I would being at a football game or a concert or at a coffee shop or anything like that. That's why I do a lot of this stuff solo on my walks, etc. But I've come to the realization that maybe I could try something new. Sabrina has been encouraging me for years to try something new. She said, you know, it's great that you can create all these things and do all this, but don't you feel like you should be able to relate to more people and be with more people more often? And I said, you know, that's probably true. So I put that into the audio. Now, for me, it's been, I don't know, maybe a week and a half into this audio. And I went through this period the last day or two where it felt like all that progress was getting worse. Now, you may have noticed this, and this will happen every time that you're doing something that is going to take you to the next breakthrough, is that it's going to seem like it's going to get worse at some point, as if all of your progress has been denied, that you're just wasting your time, that it's not worthy of your pursuit. These are all tricks of the ego to get you to stop. And the biggest trick of the ego is to watch all that stupid crap on the internet. I'm going to repeat myself. I don't care if I offend anybody. You're supposed to only gaze upon that which is true in the sight of God. Otherwise, you create resistance and you create judgments, and those judgments come back upon yourself. That's why I keep refreshing you. So no, I don't watch. I barely even want to be on Facebook anymore. I don't want to do anything with it, because to me it's complete lunacy. All right. Oh, it's over. It's oh man, you know, this and that, this whatever. God never changed. Excuse me, God is all. You see the trick of the inner and the outer? I know in the inner, God is all. That's the truth. Everything else is a lie. So everything coming at me that says that this isn't good and, it's going to get worse, that's all a bunch of crap. And so I know that same principle applies when I'm doing a transformation, I'm realigning my vibration, is I know that it's all a bunch of crap when my ego starts to throw a fit. My ego will throw a nasty fit, and I know it. So when I see it coming, I know what to do. Push through. I drop all of my tension in my body. I drop all of my concerns, and I will say verbally, I am absolutely not concerned. I know wonderful things are happening. And I'll keep saying that. Only the good is true. God is all. Those are the three things I keep saying every time when you hit that ego barrier. Only the good is true. God is all. I know wonderful things are happening now. Just keep saying that over and over when you hit that terror barrier and push through. Commit to something and do it. And don't back down. 30 days is 30 days. Then you will see the breakdown of the old ego, and it will collapse. And you will emerge into the new consciousness because you have pushed through the level where virtually everybody gives up. Everybody gives up there, and they're designed to, because these false start ghettos are everywhere. And now they've got all this, looting and COVID, all this stuff coming at you. Do you realize that this is all a satanic psyop? It is all designed to get you to be mesmerized by the world out there. Everything that comes in trickery tries to get your focus out there, to bring those images into your imagination, to get you to speak it. And why is that? Because that is you pledging your allegiance to the father of lies. It's a spiritual battle. So I've given you the tools in this video. Now, one more tool I want to just encourage you to do, if you don't know about it already, is to learn the self-entrainment technique. It's my most valuable technique. It is so potent and powerful if it is applied correctly. And that's why I offer up an hour of my personal time to work with you to help you do it correctly. Okay? The reason why is because I've seen people come to multiple workshops and I'll ask them to demonstrate the technique and they do it wrong. Again, that's the ego coming in to sabotage their progress. So you have to humble yourself and dump all of your knowledge when you're going to learn something, and you have to do it exactly, step by step, all of the spatial location sequences, word for word, all of these things precisely. And then the transference, the impartation will take place, and so I personally come in to help you do that. Again, this technique is a hybrid of 2 different techniques and some additional downloads that I had. Okay, so I spent $2,500 to fly out and meet with a woman who taught me the foundational structure of the technique. Okay, she had fibromyalgia for I think 5 years, and within a couple of days was completely freed of it. So you'll see that in the testimonials on my webpage or on the website, we've had Vernita come to the workshop and she had the same issue. And during the workshop, the ego resistance, okay, and I'm sorry Vernita, I'm not trying to call you out, but there was a time when she didn't want to really do it. It was kind of like, I called her up to the room and she was a little bit like, no, I'm okay, I'm good. And that's a natural thing. That is actually, it looks natural to people, like, oh, she just doesn't want to come up. No, it's the ego saying, I don't want to change who I'm being because I'm keeping you in check. That's what the ego does. It keeps you in check in your current reality. But we want to change that reality. So the lady who taught me this, she was free from her fibromyalgia in a couple days, and Vernita, you can listen to her testimonial. So she claims she also was as well. Now for myself, the foundational piece I learned when I had these issues of chronic fatigue. And so I was very, very, tired all the time, could never break out of it. It took me about 2 weeks to master it because my ego was so strong. But fortunately, because I had someone overseeing me, I was able to push through. And then there was this day where I shifted. And I believe you really shift into a parallel universe because, as Bashar says, when you go like this, you're shifting in and out of parallel universes. And the whole idea is that you're flickering in and out of existence like still image snapshot frames. and they're going flick, 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 but you see it with your five senses in a progressional timeline series. That's where I come up with the series circuitry, and that's really how it plays out. But in the truth, you're always in the forever now space, in the eternal with God, in the allness of all that is, and your frequency set point, Tesla discovered frequency and energy is everything. Well, it is. And we'll one day find out, and I've looked into this, that UFOs travel through frequency signatures, and they just lock into the frequency, and the so-called physical moves to the new set frequency. Well, that's the same as radio stations. If I'm sitting here right now, I don't hear anything, but that doesn't mean the radio waves aren't pumping out all these different stations. I just got to tune into them with a device. Well, this is your device, and you tune into different parallel worlds based on your frequency. So this technique, self-entrainment, is the ultimate frequency engineering technique. So after a couple weeks, when I got through my ego, things shifted, and OMG, my life was so radically different from that point forward. I would have paid $200,000 to learn that technique because it has yielded the most fruit in my life when I've needed something powerful the most. When I need a real powerful shift, that's my go-to technique. So probably about 4 to 6 times a year, I have to revisit that technique and do it. So when I do it, it takes me maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 times. You're working with your physiology and the neural pathways, and you're resetting the set point frequency that you are emerging from. And when I do this shift, my life goes right where I want it to in the frequency realm, and then I know that I'm on the right spectrum to receive what I'm asking for, because everything exists within its own vibrational place. Now, the opposite of that is, if you're usually at a humdrum, mediocre set point, and you're doing all of this worthless activity like reading thousands of books like I used to do, and taking all this knowledge in through your head, well, guess what? That's another booby trap of your ego, because you just become an information junkie. You're not doing anything. You're not shifting anything unless a catalyst comes along and forces your vibrational set point to change. That's what you're hoping for. Well, this is the fast track to do it, self-entrainment technique. So if you go to my website, you can take that. It's not free, and it shouldn't be free, because it's wisdom that you can invest in and own for a lifetime, and it's the best technique I've discovered ever. So I want to share that with you. And with that said, stay tuned for next week. I'm going to talk more about self-entrainment down the future. We'll probably do workshops again, at some point. Maybe August. We're looking at potentially August, and having some new crazy cool stuff coming out. I've had more discoveries, and I've shared some of them, not all of them, because I keep some back. Some of the best stuff I keep back for the workshops for obvious reasons, because the most pursuit, the most passion will get you the best stuff. I give away a lot for free, though. That's really valuable. So playbook coming next week, and more to come. God bless, and apply what you know, and you will prosper.
Hello everyone, this is Vernita. I just want to give my experience at the workshop last November in Wisconsin with Matthew David Hurtado's workshop. I attended the workshop with fibromyalgia, very sick, the fog, in pain, and I believe it was the first day. He did the entrainment set, and I experienced immediate relief from fibromyalgia. 2 days later, after returning home, I continued the entrainment sets for 1 week. I'm honest, just for 1 week. And I'm looking for like side effects from fibromyalgia: pain, dizziness, muscle pain, the fog, all the crap that goes with fibromyalgia, and no symptoms. That was November, December, January, February. I am absolutely pain-free, medication-free, no medications, zero, nada, and no fog, no nothing. If you ever have the opportunity to attend one of his workshops, do so, because a miracle will happen. Attend. Vernita Hamblin. Fibromyalgia is gone completely. Bye.